to a bar in Oklahoma and arrested him on Friday. Police said he has ties to a Salvadorian gang that has a violent history, including at least one other murder in his home country. Well, everyone, this is a brand new hour of Fox News Live.
Hi guys, welcome back to XCOM 2.
Hi, Eric.
I was doing an episode and I got zapped out.
Dead last August on a popular hiking trail. Police say that a illegal immigrant hid out in a drain pipe, then dragged the 37-year-old mom into the woods. Authorities also linked him to an attack on a 9-year-old girl and her mother during a home invasion in Los Angeles back in March. The problem of migrant crime has Maryland's Democratic governor pointing fingers at Congress.
My heart is broken.
Yeah, computer froze up out of nowhere. I had to
She should still be here.
restart the computer and everything, and then there was no saved video anywhere, so
That needed to have been dealt with and was not.
like fritzed out.
The consequences that fall on us as the chief executives of our states. The consequences fall on us as the leaders of our individualized jurisdictions. And we know that we have got to fix a broken immigration policy, and we know that we need Congress to act on this. Fox News chief correspondent Jonathan Hunt now with the very latest on this disturbing case. Hi, Jonathan.
Hey, Eric. The murder of Rachel Marin last August left residents fearful and law enforcement officials angry. The arrest on Friday of Victor Antonio Martinez Hernandez has eased the fear, but not the anger, as the sheriff in Harford County, Maryland, made clear.
I never went into Maryland again. I went into dying Maryland jail, Maryland prison system. We don't have the death penalty, so I certainly spent the rest of his days there.
37-year-old Rachel Marin went for a run last August on a trail in Bel Air, about 30 miles northeast of Baltimore. She never came home. Her body was found the next day on that trail. Police got a DNA match from a home invasion here in LA in March 2023, in which several people, including a young child, were assaulted, but the suspect disappeared. That changed Friday when police arrested Hernandez in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Now, Hernandez is originally from El Salvador and apparently entered the U.S. in February 2023, crossing the southern border illegally. The Harford County Sheriff blamed the White House and members of both parties in Congress for not doing enough to tackle illegal immigration, a point he reiterated on Fox and Friends this morning.
That's just an unnecessary tragedy. You know, we need to do a better job in this country of securing our borders, at least try to do it, and that's not what we're seeing from our federal government. This should not have been allowed to happen.
Hernandez is expected to be extradited soon from Oklahoma to Maryland to face those murder charges.
Eric? All right, John. Okay. They're coming from countries all over the world, not just South America, but Venezuela. The violent crime is down 72% because they've taken their criminals out of Caracas and all of the different places and they moved them into the United States of America. Thank you very much, Venezuela. We appreciate it.
Well, the shocking new details on Rachel Marin's suspected killer come as officials struggle to properly vet migrants flooding the southern border. They're particularly concerned about migrants with potential ties to the violent Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua. Law enforcement sources telling Fox News that a migrant accused of shooting 2 NYPD officers at the beginning of the month is suspected of being a member of that notorious gang. And if you look at the numbers at the border, Venezuelan migrant encounters have more than quadrupled during the Biden administration. Joining me now is Florida Congresswoman Maria Salazar, a member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. And Congresswoman, you heard the statement from the former president, and I understand that not only do you agree with him, you have been sounding this alarm for months.
Oops, not that one.
You guys spearheaded
This
a
one.
letter to President Biden requesting that he formally designate Tren de Aragua as transnational criminal organization. And I want to ask you right off the bat, has the president responded? And then, if you would, tell us more about the gang.
Sure. Thank you very much. And my heart goes out to the family of anyone who has been killed by someone with a Hispanic surname, because we, the largest minority in the country, the Hispanics, we know that we want to live the American dream, not kill it. So what I was hearing about the MS-13, if you want me, I can talk to you about what President Bukele has done. The president of El Salvador, he has eradicated those people. But now let's talk about the Trinidad. Trinidad is the new MS-13 of our day. It comes from Venezuela. We do not know their motives. We do not know where the heads are. We know that President Maduro, who is our enemy in Venezuela, is protecting them. He has emptied the jails, and now most of them are here. And this is an army that has invaded our country, and we don't know who they are because they don't have any record.
In some of the cities, I read that there are some cities that they have been known to have been in. I believe Denver is one of those cities. Do you happen to know some of the cities? And give us more information as far as what you know in terms of what they're doing here.
Well, what they're doing is that I know that Mrs. Riley in Georgia, we know that another gentleman that was gay, gagged, and bound here in my area, in the Doral area. We know that 2 of the cops in New York City, or police cops, and New York cops, were beaten by that group, and we have that video on camera. These are people that are highly violent. We do not know their motives, and that is why Senator Rubio and myself, we sent a letter to President Biden saying, you need to designate the Vengaragua, which means the Araguan train, as a criminal organization, because by doing that, if the White House puts them on the very black list, what it does is that it gives the FBI and the rest of the law enforcement agencies in our country all the resources to go after them, to nail them, to arrest them, and treat them in a different way than just a simple local gang. That's what we're asking the president to find. But in reality, what's happening is that this is another consequence of having an open border for the last 3.5 years, where 10 million people have come in. A lot of people are good people that want to come work, live the American dream. At the same time, look at the gangs and look at all the bad thugs that we're getting. We need to seal the border. We need to set end to catch and release. We need to, like I was listening to another soundbite at the beginning of the show, we need to fix our immigration problem, and that's what we're here for.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody listening to us would agree with you, and it takes all hands on deck for this. Right now, let us listen to U.S. Absolutely, let's listen to U.S. Border Patrol El Paso Sector Chief Scott Good on vetting Venezuelan migrants. Listen.
There's a lot of folks, especially folks from Venezuela, that we just have no idea because we have no biographic information or no biometric information from that country. In the United States, right? So when we run the fingerprints, even though they've done some terrible things in the country of Venezuela, the country of Venezuela doesn't share that information with us.
So you could ask, should the U.S. ban, but one moment, let me set up the question for you. You could ask, should the U.S. ban all immigrants from Venezuela, but that would block those applying for legal immigration. So the question is, I would imagine, is how does the United States make Venezuela pay for not sharing biometric information on known criminals with the U.S. and for not accepting the criminals back when they're identified?
And that is a very good question. That's exactly correct. And that's why we asked the Biden administration not to give any more economic oxygen to the Maduro regime, who is the communist neo-Marxist, one of the 3 Marxist regimes in our hemisphere, Venezuela, Nicaragua, and Cuba. And unfortunately, the Biden administration, thinking that the Maduro regime was going to open up and give free and fair elections, they allowed them to sell oil again. So now they have a lot of money in their treasury, and they can oil the repressive apparatus. And in the meantime, they have opened up the jails, and those people are the ones winding up here. So what I think we should do is that we should really treat Venezuela with the utmost rigor and let them know that they cannot do this anymore. But that's the problem, that people in the Western Hemisphere and the third countries do not respect President Biden because they see him weak. So they can do this type of thing. They will not do this under a Trump administration.
Well, El Tren de Aragua, as you already pointed out, means the Aragua train. This is a nod to its roots as a railway workers union from that region. And of course, I certainly, because this is a serious matter indeed, I don't mean to be flippant or cutesy. Has the train left the station? Is it too late to corral these guys and get them out of here?
Listen, I think that after you look at President Bukele in El Salvador, who in only a few years, he was the murder capital of the world, and now he is the safest country in the Western Hemisphere. He has dealt with, again, the MS-13, as you heard, in Los Angeles, and definitely deal with these people. We just need to have a very strong hand. And we need to send the message that this is not going to be condoned, and that they're going to be prosecuted, and that they're going to spend a lot of time in jail.
I'm sorry, because I'm running out of time, but I want to ask you my question. Have you heard from the Biden administration regarding your request to deem the organization, the gang, a national crime organization?
We have not heard. Senator Rubio and myself, we were still waiting for the Biden administration to designate them under that category.
Waiting for designation, but have you heard anything? Are they working on this, or just?
We have not heard up until Friday when session ended. We're going to be free this week, but my office in DC is going to continue calling the White House and asking for a response as to when they are planning to designate them in a criminal organization, a transnational criminal organization.
Right. Transnational. Thank you. Yes, not just national. They're
yes, all over the hemisphere.
Yeah, Congresswoman Maria Salazar, thank you very much. We'll have you back. Thank you very much.
Here's to you.
In 2016, Donald Trump came into Detroit and asked Black Detroiters what we had to lose. 8 years later, Joe Biden showed us. President Trump came back to the hood with the receipts. He went back in, he talked about rising crime. He talked about rising interest rates. He talked about rising inflation. All things that hurt Black Americans the most.
Under the presidential campaign, now former President Trump heading to another crucial swing state he will campaign in Wisconsin. Yesterday, he went to an historically Black church in Detroit where he courted African Americans. That group of voters, not historically, for Republicans in recent decades. Madison Olive, live in Detroit, with much more on how the former president's visit went. Hey, Madison.
Hi, Eric. It was a very busy Saturday for former President Donald Trump right here in Detroit. As you mentioned, he started his day of campaigning at a historically Black church, 180 Church in Detroit. Now, that church, it was packed, and those in attendance, they gave the president multiple standing ovations. Trump then went from the church and took his campaign message to a Turning Point convention, also being hosted here in the city of Detroit. Across those two events, he focused on similar themes. He talked about the economy, the auto industry, and immigration, making the argument that the illegal crossings at the border hit communities of color the hardest.
All reports indicate he's nearly
And your social security is under siege because of the people coming over the border. And the people coming over the border, all those millions of people, they're inflicting tremendous harm to our Black population and to our Hispanic population.
Nice.
Those people are suffering.
Nice shooting. Holy fuck.
Being taken, their hospitals are being taken.
Warlock, you piece of shit. I'm gonna fucking kill you.
The Biden administration was quick to address President Trump's outreach efforts to Black voters in Detroit, saying in part, quote, Donald Trump thinks that the fact that he has spoken many Black friends excuses an entire lifetime of denigrating and disrespecting Black Americans, but Black voters know better. But we got to talk to a number of Black voters in Detroit, specifically those that were there at the church, and those supporting the president say they've been able to experience both a President Biden and a President Trump, and because of that, they know who they want in office.
I don't agree with everything about President Trump. I don't agree with 100% everything that anybody does. However, I'm not voting based off of personal feelings. I'm voting based on personal experience. I've experienced Trump as president. I've experienced Joe Biden as president. And I like the way, I like Trump as president more. So he I heard everything I wanted there from Trump.
So we are starting to see in polling that black voters, particularly young black voters, are starting to shy away from the Democrat Party. But the numbers are still in that camp. So the Trump campaign will have to make even greater of a push if they want to really turn the tide there. And that is exactly what they're planning on doing. They were here this weekend. The next stop on their campaign in the states of blue walls, they're going to be heading to Michigan. After Michigan, they're going to be heading to Wisconsin. That's on Tuesday. The president there is expected to talk about immigration and crime in that city. Send it back to you.
All right, Madison. Madison Allworth in Detroit along the river on a beautiful Sunday afternoon there. Thank you. Martha?
Well, Eric, meanwhile, President Biden attended a star-studded fundraiser in Hollywood. He did skip a Ukraine peace summit in Switzerland to make the event. Let's go to Lucas Tomlinson. He's live at the White House with more. And Lucas, the president, of course, was in Switzerland. He left after he secured new funding from world leaders for Ukraine before he left to go to his fundraiser. Is that correct?
That's right. Our fell to a tune of $50 billion from G7 leaders. Vice President Harris attended that Ukraine peace summit in Switzerland, and President Biden flew through the night from Italy to get into Los Angeles 2 nights ago. He had a down day to prepare, and then he attended that big fundraiser in Los Angeles last night with some of Hollywood's elite. I believe he has photos from the event. In fact, Julia Roberts, normally it's, so the fans that post their photos of celebrities to social media. Now we have a celebrity posting her photo there with George Clooney, President Biden, former President Donald Trump, a little Ocean's 11 reunion there with Julia Roberts and George Clooney. Now, not everyone was impressed last night with the event. Here's Texas Senator Ted Cruz.
Yeah, look, and that's his base. Hollywood movie stars and big tech billionaires. That's who the Democrat Party is fighting for. Environmental billionaires in California, that's who they care about. People who are in bed with China, that's who the Democrats care about. But if you're actually talking about a steel worker, if you're talking about a taxi cab driver, if you're talking about a waiter or waitress, the Democrat Party long ago abandoned those workers.
The Biden campaign says they've raised a record-setting $30 million last night. Now, on Fox News Sunday, the top Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee had his take on Biden's foreign policy record.
As a political matter, I think in 250 years of United States history, foreign policy has never been all that much of an influencer of Americans' votes, for better or for worse.
Now, another lawmaker from Connecticut, Senator Chris Murphy, had a different take over 4 years ago, saying then about foreign policy, in part, quote, Democrats need to make it a centerpiece of the 2020 campaign to beat Trump. It's not likely that's going to be the case this year. Now, Senator Murphy spoke earlier and defended Biden not attending that Ukraine peace summit in Switzerland.
He has to campaign for re-election. The fact of the matter is there will be a handful of massively funded billionaires on the Republican side that are going to put lots of money into his campaign. Joe Biden has to raise money to counter that.
It's not too long ago that Donald Trump was passing a habit in California and Silicon Valley raising some money. Now, it's likely that President Biden will be taking some downtime to prepare in the coming days for his first debate with former President Donald Trump, which is now just less than 2 months away.
Okay, we are anticipating the debate. Lucas Tomlinson, live at the White House. Thank you, Lucas.
Israel announcing today that its military will pause fighting on the road to Rafah to try and let in more aid into the southern Gaza Strip. That decision coming just hours after 8 IDF soldiers were killed in southern Gaza. It is the deadliest day for the Israeli troops since January. Trey Yance live in Tel Aviv with developments.
Eric, good afternoon. Israeli forces continue to operate inside the Gaza Strip, and it comes as we are learning more about those 4 hostages that were saved just last weekend.
Andrei Kozlov falls to his knees as his mother walks into the room. It's a reunion more than 8 months in the making. It was full of emotions and shouting and laughing.
Nice try.
And Andrei was saying again and again, I have survived. Mama, I have survived. Andrei, in red basketball shorts, became another symbol of hope for the Israelis when he and 3 others were rescued from Hamas this month by special forces in a daring operation in central Gaza.
as new details emerge about the delicate, on-the-ground intelligence gathering that led up to the operation to save these hostages. We're learning more about the conditions they were held in. He's talking a lot, telling us about his experience and about October 7th and the conditions in captivity. Andre's father says, but when he gets into the painful moments, he tries to mask it as a joke. He's trying to protect us and his friends. For example, he told us that in the first 2 months, he was tied with his hands behind his back. And after 2 months, they tied his hands in the front. And he says that it was a huge gift, and he was laughing about it. This weekend was certainly difficult for Israeli forces who continued to look for the remaining hostages. 8 soldiers were killed in a single incident when an explosion hit their armored personnel carrier. Eric?
Yeah, the hostage rescue and the deaths of those soldiers are a reminder of the sacrifice the Israelis have to undergo facing the terrorist trade. Thank you.
Well, Eric, President Biden not pulling any punches when talking about the Supreme Court at last night's Hollywood fundraiser. What he said about some of the court's recent decisions. That's up next.
Life, diabetes, there's no slowing down. Each day is a unique blend of people to see and things to do. That's why you choose Lucerne to help manage blood sugar response. Uniquely designed with Carb Steady. Lucerne, bring on the day.
Look in the Hotels.com app to find your perfect somewhere. City's industry-leading global payment solutions help their clients move money around the world seamlessly in over 180 countries. And help a partner like the World Food Program as they provide more than food to people in need. Together, City and the World Food Program empower families across the globe.
It appears that despite my sinister efforts, employees are still managing their own HR and people. Why would you think mere humans deserve to do their own thing? Because their livelihoods depend on it? Because they have bills to pay? Hear me now, people. Turn the world of HR into its rightful place of chaos. Face a tsunami of unnecessary, the likes of which you have never seen. This Father's Day parent deserves better, and nothing's better than cooking with Blackstone. Enjoy the more than 11 million Blackstone users. Your family love every breakfast, lunch, and dinner create with an enormous variety for your whole family. Cook anything, anytime, anywhere, now on a Blackstone. Go to your nearest retailer on blackstoneproducts.com.
By the way, needles.
And make everything better on a Blackstone.
Anti-Semitism in the U.S. Tonight on Not Putting It Away.
Okay.
Your soldiers resolve. Servants will never see them attacks. Death of these subordinates will prevent nothing.
Stepping off.
Reading story book. Very big. Thank you for your support.
Massachusetts police investigating an overnight shooting that injured 8 young people, including teenagers. 2 of the victims are in critical condition. It happened just before 2 a.m. in the town of Bickerman. That's about 30 miles north of Boston. 7 people were shot and 1 person was hurt while running away. The victims range in age from 17 to 22. Hundreds of people had gathered for a pop-up party that was organized through social media, and police say these meetups are a growing problem.
Usually these meetups consist of very loud music, disorderly conduct, sometimes drinking, and that sort of thing. It's a serious concern for us, of course, and like I said, taking our foot from Friday. But we haven't had a situation like this that's escalated to this type of incident.
Police say they're working on some leads, but so far no arrests have been made. Right?
Well, President Biden is last in the Supreme Court. He did that during his Hollywood campaign fundraiser last night. Just the day before, the court overturned a Trump-era ban. Bump stocks for semi-automatic rifles.
The Supreme Court has never been as out of kilter as it is today. The fact of the matter is that this has never been a court that's been this far out of step.
The Supreme Court is becoming a campaign issue after some controversial rulings. And reports of an upside-down American flag on the first flown outside Judge Hamilton leaving cell. Also, ethics questions over Justice Clarence Thomas's acceptance of luxury trips from a billionaire Republican donor. Let's bring in Democratic Massachusetts Congressman Jake Auchincloss for the very latest in this. Congressman, good to see you at the Supreme Court. Real thoughts on it being now it seems in the center of the presidential race.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me on. President Biden is right. The Supreme Court is out of step with the American public. Look at this most recent ruling on bump stocks, which is a willfully ignorant misreading of the National Firearms Act that 80% of Americans disagree with. The question now, though, is not what the Supreme Court is going to do. We've seen that. The question is, what's Congress going to do? Because this is actually a bipartisan issue. This was a Trump-era regulation that is supported by a majority of Republican voters. And yet the bill in Congress to ban bump stocks and to prevent turning assault weapons into machine guns is co-sponsored by more than 100 Democrats and only 1 Republican. So why are congressional Republicans flying away from a bipartisan issue? The answer is very simple. It's the gun lobby. They're not paid for by the NRA. And they will not put the interests of American children and families ahead of the interests of the gun manufacturers.
We heard the bump stock issue, of course, horrible back. 58 people in Las Vegas. So gone down with a gun
Fucking lucky.
From the casino hotel. 1,000 shots, 1,000 in a few minutes. I mean, can you wrap your brain around the sense why this, A, is not passed, and B, what was behind Justice Thomas's decision? This is the one who issued the ruling, basically about an ATF, the authorization of the ATF oversight.
Yeah. Well, I can wrap my brain around the carnage that is unleashed by these weapons, because I was a Marine officer. I slept A-train patrol with a AR-15. I fired machine guns repeatedly. Let's be clear, these are weapons that are designed to kill human beings at range and at scale. And a bump stock is a accessory designed to get around the National Firearms Act by allowing a single function of the trigger to unleash an automatic rate of fire at more than 100 rounds per minute. No civilian needs more than 100 rounds per minute, and we see what results from that type of firepower in mass shootings like Las Vegas in 2017. The Supreme Court is effectively putting machine guns in the hands of would-be mass shooters in 35 states that haven't yet banned bump stocks. Congress needs to act. Congressional Republicans need to gain the courage of their constituents on this issue and marginalize the gun lobby.
And it was a President Trump decision, obviously, during his administration that did this in the first place. You have experience, let me show we have a little video that vividly demonstrates the power and the rapidity of what a bump stock does. I want our viewers to watch this video I mean, it was ruled that's not a machine gun. I mean, take a look at that. It's just constant. How can it be ruled, because you pull the trigger and it automatically does that, but the law says The finger has to keep on doing this, and therefore it's not showing.
Yes, and you can tell how radically dangerous that type of accessory is by the fact that even the Trump administration was compelled to act to ban them. And yet now, of course, Donald Trump is backing away from it, refusing to say that the court misread the law, both the spirit and the letter of the National Firearms Act. And this is just another example of Donald Trump flip-flopping on issues that matter to America. Flip-flopped on abortion multiple times in his career. No one's going to buy it if they know who he really is by the Supreme Court justices he appointed. He's flip-flopped on firearms multiple times in his career. This is not a president who would ever uphold law and order. He's only going to uphold his own interests. And that is ultimately going to be the sharpest contrast that President Biden can draw them.
And finally, do you think that the legislation could be introduced this week in Congress?
We have the legislation. It's got 135 Democratic co-sponsors, I believe. One Republican co-sponsor, moderate from Pennsylvania. And this is just in keeping with the extremism of congressional Republicans on the matter of gun safety. They're out of step not only with the average American, but with the average American gun owner and the average American Republican on issues like universal background checks, assault weapon ban, safe storage laws, and allowing for gun tracing.
What the fuck is an armada coming our way? Chrysalids. First time. Uh-oh. They look filthy. Oh, you nasty.
About this next week, there's so far some efforts, I'm told, to try to reignite that legislation. We'll see how far it goes after the Supreme Court ruling. Massachusetts Democratic Jake Hottenklass. Congressman, good to see you.
Floaters.
Okay, so they'll review it. I don't know what happened, but Angel Reese called for a flagrant foul on Caitlin Clark in today's game between the Chicago Sky and Indiana Fever. This comes as sports fans are debating whether Clark should be included on Team USA's Olympic basketball team. Riley Gaines is here and she'll weigh in next.
Upset stomach? Iberogast. Indigestion? Iberogast. Bloating? Iberogast. Thanks to the unique combination of herbs, Iberogast helps relieve 6 digestive symptoms to help you feel better. 6 digestive symptoms, the power of nature. Iberogast.
When we say it'll be on time, it's on time. Time shipping. 0 bids. Keep those expectations with reliable ground shipping.
USPS Ground Advantage.
When you're a small business owner, your to-do list can be a lot. That's why Progressive makes it easy to save with a commercial auto quote online, so you can take on all your other to-dos.
Already did.
See if you can save at progressivecommercial.com.
Hi, I'm Eileen. I live in Vancouver, Washington, and write screenplays. As I was writing, I found that it just wasn't sharp, and that doesn't work for writing a mystery. And I knew I needed to do something. So I started taking Prevagen. I realized that I was much more clear, much sharper. I was remembering the details that I was supposed to. Prevagen keeps my brain working.
Prevagen at stores everywhere without a prescription.
My daughter is Mila. She is 19 months old. She is a little ray of sunshine. One of the happiest babies you'll probably ever meet. Children with Down syndrome typically have a higher risk for developing acute leukemia, or just leukemia in general. But here we are.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital works day after day to find cures and save the lives of children with cancer and other life-threatening diseases.
She was referred to St. Jude at 11 months. They knew what to do as soon as they got her diagnosis. They already had her treatment plan drawn out, and they're like, this is what we're going to do. This is how long it's going to take. This is how long in between. This place is like a game like And I can't say enough how grateful we are to be here. Medical bills are always a big thing to everybody because everybody knows that.
He had 1 health. Fuck.
We never seem to know this as being attention. We have paid for nothing.
Thanks to the generous government like you, families never receive a bill for treatment, travel, housing, so they can focus on helping their child. For just $19 a month, you'll help us continue the life-saving research and treatment that these kids need now and in the future. Join with your credit or debit card right now, and we'll send you this St. Jude t-shirt that you could proudly wear and show your support.
Anybody and everybody that contributes anything to this place, no matter if it's a big business or just the grandmother that donates, once a month, they are changing people's lives.
Shit.
And that's a big deal.
Do you owe over $10,000 in back taxes? Kevin Sorbo here with an important message. The Biden administration has proposed an $80 billion plan to boost IRS collections. This means they could garnish your wages, levy your bank account, and even seize your property. Tax Network USA, a trusted tax firm, can help protect your income and assets today while quickly settling your tax debt. But you have to act now while you still have options. Call Tax Network USA today.
Well, Columbia University will reopen its main campus to the public tomorrow. This is going to be for the first time since mid-April. The university had been restricting access to students and staff. This is after months of unrest when pro-Palestinian protesters set up dozens of tents on campus and briefly took over a school building. The school says the campus will be accessible to anyone between the hours of 7 a.m. and...
Holy fuck, we got lucky there.
Well, the FAA is suing a Texas woman for failing to pay nearly $82,000 in fines. That over her alleged violence and arriving on an airplane 3 years ago. The suit claims they ultimately took 2 flight attendants and a passenger to restrain her. Madison Scarpino, now with the details on this. Madison.
Eric, it's the largest fine the FAA has ever imposed. The woman was pushing and hitting flight attendants, trying to open the cabin door before she was duct taped to her seat. But even after that, the FAA says she continued kicking and headbutting at the crew and other passengers. The San Antonio Press obtained the lawsuit. It says the chaos started after 34-year-old Heather Wells ordered a Jack Daniels meat. The American Airlines flight was from Dallas to Charlotte in 2021. That year, the FAA says there was a disturbing uptick in cases of violent or threatening passengers. And the agency says there's been a rapid growth of this behavior ever since. Here's another unruly passenger. Passengers on this American Airlines flight put a man in a headlock. According to court records, the man had to be carried off the plane for threatening to take it down. And just this week, the agency said it's cracking down on this to make sure all passengers are safe this summer. It says anyone who assaults or threatens people on a flight can be fined up to $37,000 per penalty. And Eric, just this year, there has already been over 900 cases of unruly passengers, and over 100 of those cases are involving drunk people. Back to you.
Wow, just astounding, Madison. Thank you. Brenda?
This is about a very rare moment in time where people suddenly care about the WNBA. The reason they care about the WNBA is because of Caitlin Clark. They have an opportunity to grow the sport and get more eyeballs on it. And for whatever the reason might be, whether it's racial or jealous or pettiness, they've decided to hurt themselves. Caitlin Clark is the golden goose right now.
Well, debate is raging about the Team USA's decision to leave Caitlin Clark off the roster, considering she is one of the most popular names in women's sports. USA Basketball says all 12 women on the team's roster have won a gold medal at either the Olympics or the World Cup. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver says he's disappointed Clark won't play in Paris, but he gets why she did not make the team.
My mandate is a bit different.
So our next guest is the author of the new book, Swimming Against the Current, former NCAA swimmer and Outkick contributor Riley Gaines. Hey Riley, good to see you again. Hey, before we start, I'm gonna read the picture of this in case anyone didn't hear that. He said, my mandate is a bit different than USA Basketball's. My job is to get people to love and watch basketball. USA Basketball has a very specific mandate about fielding the best possible team from a competitive standpoint, and I accept they all did their jobs as they were instructed to. So Riley, how do you see it? Caitlin does not have a gold medal, and the rest of the team, they had 7 practices while Caitlin is still playing with the WNBA. So does this make the decision fair?
Yeah, to your point, the USA Basketball chair, the governing board there, their job is to win. It's not about popularity, as it shouldn't be. So let's look at the facts here. Caitlin Clark was the #1 overall draft pick this year. She holds many Big Ten, NCAA records for collegiate women's basketball. Being a rookie, she has 2 30-point games under her belt, including a historic performance just this past Friday where she tied a WNBA rookie record with 7 3-pointers and 85-83 win over the Washington Mystics. Even today, she scored 23 points. So to say the USA Basketball chair actually said it would be irresponsible to put Caitlin Clark on the U.S. Women's Olympic basketball team, all while putting Brittany Griner on the team. But she's been out since the second game of the season with a toe fracture. She might not even be playing again for another month. So I think with the extreme controversy that she brings, the exclusion of Clark, women's basketball has likely cost itself maybe millions of viewers.
Okay. All right, let me jump in, Riley, because you're saying a lot there. First of all, you by the way, I like Caitlin Clark, just for the record. You said that you referred to Caitlin as a rookie multiple times, which she is, but I'm not sure what you mean by the controversy that Brittany Griner brings to the game. I mean, that's kind of not fair to say without explanation.
Well, I mean, I think given everything that happened overseas, given that she was put in jail, the controversy is certainly there, whether we want it there or not.
It's not her fault and wrongly accused. Let's be fair. That's Riley. I like you a lot too. That's not right. She was wrongfully accused, and that is not fair to bring it up. So we're going to delete that. Okay, let's you and I continue. Again, I like you a lot. So we had the game was on today. Indiana Fever 91, Chicago Sky 83, and you may have heard that during the NCAA championship tournament in April, we're talking about Angel Reese now, of the Chicago Sky. They lost today, 83, Indiana Fever 91 again. She had this to say about the much-hyped competitive rivalry between her and Caitlin. Here she says, quote, me and Caitlin Clark don't hate each other. It's just a super competitive game. Once I get between those lines, there's no friends. I have plenty of friends on the court that I talk to outside the game, but like when I get between those lines, we're not friends. We're not buddies. I'm going to talk trash to you. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get in your head the whole entire game. But after the game, we can kick it. So, listen, Riley, you know there have been epic rivalries in the NBA over the decades. So isn't this sort of good for the WNBA?
I think so. I think it gives the WNBA the opportunity to be just as competitive in that sense as the men have proven themselves to be. But what we have seen, what I believe we have seen, is intense jealousy, not just from Angel Reese, but again, I think the way that Caitlin Clark has been targeted by the media, targeted by people like Jamel Hill, who have said that Caitlin Clark has pretty privilege, tall privilege, straight privilege, the list goes on. I think that they have shown themselves that they haven't been able to handle the same pressure to be able to play on the court in the same way that the NBA does.
Okay, well, a couple things. Now I'm going to have to get Jamel Hill on. She just name checked her, so I have to invite her on to...
Fuck, I'm listening way too many guys.
Also, Angel Reese, she just pointed out, look, I've been doing this... Okay, she's been doing that. Angel Reese says, like, I've been doing this for 2 years, and I've brought in, sold out audiences and celebs in the seats, etc. But Riley, they're going to kill me. Come back. You and I must continue this conversation. Riley Gaines, so good to see you. Thank you very much. Okay, thanks, Riley. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Amplify?
It's kind of amazing. Wow. Look at my eye drops dramatically reduce brightness. And look at the difference. My eyes look brighter and whiter for up to 8 hours. It really works. See for yourself.
If you're shopping for a home, Realtor.com's Real Commute tool lets you find homes close to work, school, even grandma's house.
Don't all apps do that?
Not really. Trust the #1 app real estate professionals trust.
It's so easy to get your windshield replaced using SafeLine. Tell the people I haven't done it already on it. It started off as a chip and grew into a crack, and it just keeps going. So what do we do now? I went ahead and scheduled an appointment online at SafeLight.com. Told them to meet us here at the beach.
Let's get started.
Oh, SafeLight repair.
SafeLine replay.
Yeah! Schedule free mobile service at SafeLight.com.
SafeLight repairs and replace.
When I started My Pillow, it was just a problem solution one-party company. Well, since then, with the help of my dedicated employees, we now have hundreds of products, some you might not even know about. To get the word out, we're having a $25 extravaganza. 2-pack multi-use My Pillows, $25. My Pillow samples, $25. And for the first time ever, our 6-pack towel sets, you guessed it, just $25. Our brand new 4-pack dish towels, $25. And I've never done this before. Premium My Pillows with all new pieces of fabric, any size, any loft level, even king size for only $25. And there's so much more. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code for our $25 extravaganza. Order $75 and over, your entire order ships absolutely free.
Hi, Grandma. I played baseball today. Oh, that's great.
What position did you play?
First base. That's what my grandpa used to play. When our hearing wouldn't allow us to use a regular phone, it made us feel isolated.
It became difficult to communicate with our friends and family.
Clear Captions was an easy solution for us.
Clear Captions provides captions on a phone, like captioning on your TV, so you can see what the caller is saying live as they say it.
Making it easy to understand and respond immediately.
There is no insurance or Medicare required. Clear Caption service is provided at no cost to you through a federally funded program. We deliver, install, and train you on...
Fuck, we had a lot of losses, but we had a lot of people there too, so it's a thing.
The independence and connection they deserve.
Call now to see if you qualify to get a Clear Captions phone at no cost to you. Call 1-800-979-0270. That's 1-800-979-0270.
Before Apple felt sure about their litigation, giving out his bills was a battle of wits. Oh, Maria, I wanted to help you in this game. Is it good? Totally good. HRV just got easier. Apple Will, the trusted number one treatment for allergic itch, is now available in a tasty chewable that works in a day.
Do not use in dogs with serious infections, may cause worsening of existing parasitic skin infestations or pre-existing cancers and serious infections. New neoplasias have been observed. Do not use in dogs less than 12 months old.
Ask your vet for Apple Will chewable.
Do it. This is the one that helps everyone stay safe. An unsung hero in a building full of everyday heroes. It's just how it is. The industrial grade products you need. Call, click, or stop by Granger for the ones who get it done.
I am Tony Hawk, and like many of you, I take a statin to reduce cholesterol. But statins can also deplete CoQ10 levels. That's why my doctor recommended Qunol CoQ10. Qunol has the #1 cardiologist recommended form of CoQ10. Qunol, the brand I trust.
Well, no, visitors, gotta get ready for the first heat of the season starting Tuesday.
After all the fucking bodies.
A heat dome's gonna settle down, bringing in scorching temperatures of 90 degrees. CB Cop hanging out at Rockaway Beach in Queens, New York City. Yes, the Big Apple has some great beaches. CB, what's it like?
Eric, this city really does. It's beautiful out here. I got a great assignment, right? As you were saying, our meteorologists over at Fox Weather are predicting that those scorching temps are going to set daily records from the Northeast to the Midwest. And we're expecting this summer heat wave to peak by Thursday, making it really dangerous for those who can't get access to cooling or stay hydrated. So we know a lot of people are going to be flocking to beaches across the nation. And speaking of beaches, first responders, and several of them have started using drones in recent years to monitor for coastal erosion, shark sightings, or swimmers in distress. Here in the Northeast, the NYPD is using more than 30 drones at city beaches. Each one is equipped with an intercom system to let swimmers know help is on the way, and the drones can also drop rescue tubes. Watch.
Here's this ugly fucking ass.
Drop device where we can drop it in the water if there's a distressed swimmer. So they're able to, it's activated once it hits the water, and they're able to jump on the rescue tube, and then so the lifeguards can get out there for them.
In the coming weeks, the NYPD hopes to increase its fleet of drones just so officers are prepared for any potential danger here on a city beach. Back to you.
That's just great. CB at the beach. Thanks, CB. And we'll be right back.
Fuck to look a lot better.
Dad, what's with the toenail?
Oh, that, I'm not sure.
It's a nail fungus infection. That's gross.
That's nothing really.
It's contagious. You can even spread it to other people.
Don't worry about it. It'll go away on its own.
No, it won't go away on its own. It's an infection. You need a prescription.
Nail fungus is a contagious infection. At the first sign, show it to your doctor and ask if Julia is right for you. Julia is a prescription medicine used to treat toenail fungus. Its most common side effects include growing toenail, application site redness, itching, swelling, burning, or stinging, blisters, and pain. Julia is recognized by the APNA. Most commercially insured patients will pay as little as $0 copay. Go to juliaRx.com now to get started.
Dustin loved to play with his kids. He was a fun dad.
On October 12, 2022, Lieutenant Dustin DeMonte and Sergeant Alex Ramsey responded to a domestic violence incident. Upon arrival, they were ambushed and shot, killed in the line of duty.
We always thought we would see him until the day when he said goodbye, gave a kiss. We never got to see him again. Frank from Top of the Towers reached out to us within a couple of days of everything happening. Frank came over presenting me with a notice that my mortgage was being paid off. Americans should give to Top of the Towers so that families like mine can continue to be helped, and so that they can honor men and women who have made the ultimate sacrifice like my husband did.
Go to T2T.org.
Here's to good, better things.
Here at the PC Scoop, every Thursday.
Help fuel today with Boost Tide Protein. Complete nutrition you need. Without the stuff you don't. So, used to have. Look, Trump's really showed this. It's America's Day. Standing room now. Find out on Jesse Waters Prime Time.
children around the world paying tribute to their dads for Father's Day. That includes Prince William and Princess Kate's 3 kids. The couple posted this photo of floating at the beach with their sons George and Louis and daughter Charlotte. The picture taken by Kate herself. The kids were told to sign off in the caption. They wrote, "We love you, Papa. Happy Father's Day." That happens to be the first time that any of William and Kate's kids have signed a social media post to wish the very best to the family and to Kate and to her grandfather, of course, the king himself.
King Charles, absolutely.
Absolutely.
And happy Father. And to you too, my friend. Happy Father's Day. To you too, Mr. Sean, and to all the fathers, and to those who serve as fathers. Thanks for watching very much, everybody. We're back next week.
I don't want to wait orphan surgery for my beautiful contraction. I want a non-surgical treatment.
And if non-surgical treatment isn't offered,
I'll get a second opinion. Take charge of your treatment. If you can't lay your head flat, visit findahandspecialist.com to get started.
My husband and I own a growing beverage company. We rely on e-commerce and digital tools to build our business and launch new products. Thanks to American investments in AI, we're using this technology to run our business more efficiently. Artificial intelligence is a game changer. And I'm excited that the U.S. is leading the world in its development. Our leaders should continue to protect America's competitive edge, to strengthen small businesses like ours. The terrorist attacks of October 7th were the single deadliest day for the Jewish people since the Holocaust. I stand here before you with an extremely burdened and heavy heart. Not only for the immense cruelty and loss of life suffered here, but for the immense needs of the people of Israel in the months and the years to come as we fight for our survival. It's an especially critical time right now for the elderly. Many close family members were killed or severely injured and no longer able to help them with their basic needs, such as food.
Responded to thousands of displays. A Jewish person who was in his would be called right now. This impact would he double and save lives.
Zena, she used to take care of me. It was extremely dependent on the first bracket. So I phoned my daughter and she said, "Honey, I'm on the bus. Everything is okay." 2 minutes later, the terrorist shot her dead.
Volunteers for the fellowship deliver the food boxes. But now their Christians are helping provide them with a month's supply of healthy, ready-to-eat foods to strengthen them and encourage their faith.
I can feel the love coming from this house. Thank you. May the God of Israel always bless you.
Let's extend our prayers together in support and share our resources to bring meaningful change to the lives of our brothers and sisters in Israel. Call the number on your screen. Scan the QR code or go online to ifcjisrael.org now. The best way to solve a problem is to keep it from happening. At Evergreen, we combine medical and pharmacy data with behavioral health data to identify members in need of care, predicting and treating behavioral health issues quickly, while lowering costs for plan sponsors and members. That's wonder made possible. Evergreen Health Services.
Hello, America. Mark Levin. This is Life, Liberty, and Saturday. Welcome. Thrilled you're here. We have 2 great guests tonight, Senator Tom Cotton and Ben Dominic. But before we get
lady.
our bobblehead friend, Joe, how you doing? I'm glad you're back. I have a lot to say.
George Stephanopoulos was an ABC News journalist. Before that, he headed the war room for the Clinton presidency, where his job in part was to smear women who came forward and challenged Bill Clinton and exposed Bill Clinton, exposing himself to them. But I got to thinking, very interesting, he's telling CNN, telling them during the debate, your first big question should be, who won the 2020 election? I have a better question, George. Who won the 2000 election? What do you mean, Mark? Well, do my research. Here's a piece from USA Today. In some ways, the dispute over the 2000 presidential election will never end. Witness Vice President Biden's comments Wednesday about predecessor Al Gore. Quote, this man was elected president of the United States of America, Biden said at a fundraiser that Gore also attended. No. He was elected president of the United States of America, but for the good of the nation, when the bad decision, in my view, was made, he did the right thing for the nation. So we have an election denier, and his name is Biden. So first step, there's not a lot of this on the internet, but it didn't take me long to find this. All the media heads out there who keep asking Republicans, you going to accept the 2024 election? They about the 2000 election, and Al Gore, by the way, he wasn't the only one. Jimmy Carter, Hillary Clinton, a laundry list, a conga line of Democrats have said exactly the same thing. And we all know that to be the case. But I got to thinking, one of the things missing from this election is character. The media wants you to believe the problem with character goes to Trump. I'm going to prove to you, no. The character issue is a problem with Joe Biden.
It's a good one.
Sometimes the media spin in a static. We know who they are. We know what they're up to. We know they're no damn good. And I'll prove it to you again. During the presidential debate, the second presidential debate, right before the election, the last election, this issue came up of the Hunter Biden laptop. And I want to remind you exactly what took place. And there's so much more I want to talk about after you watch this.
You know who I am. You know who he is. You know his character. You know my character. You know our reputations for honor and telling the truth. I am anxious to have this race. I'm anxious to see this take place.
True.
I am character. The country is on the ballot. Our character is on the ballot. Look at us closely.
Let me ask the question. Please respond.
This stuff is true about Russia, Ukraine, China, other countries, Iraq. If this is true, then he's a corrupt politician. So don't give me the stuff about how you're this innocent baby. No, they're calling you a corrupt politician. Nobody.
President Trump, I want to stay on the issue of race. We're talking about race. President Trump, we're talking about race right now. I do want to stay on the issue of race. President Trump,
I have to respond to that.
please, very
There are 50 former national intelligence who said that what this he's accusing me of is a Russian plane. They have said that this has all the five former heads of the CIA, both parties, say what he's saying is a bunch of garbage. Nobody believes him except him. He and his good friend Rudy Giuliani.
You mean the laptop is now another Russia hoax?
And that's exactly what
this is where he's going. The laptop is Russia.
I want to stay on the issue of race.
You have to be kidding. Here we go again with Russia.
Here we go again with Russia. We all know the 51 who signed that letter was prepared by and for the Biden campaign at the direction of Anthony Blinken. Lincoln knew the letter was a farce. Sullivan, the National Security Advisor, knew the letter was a farce. Joe Biden knew the letter was a farce. His campaign created it, pushed it out into the media, Politico, the Washington Post, all the rest of the media. When he stood there and lied, he lied to the American people. He used a letter that he and his campaign prepared and pushed out. Joe Biden knew that was his son's laptop. All he had to do was ask him. His son knew it was his laptop. People around him knew that laptop was the real deal. And they lied to the American people to influence the election. Now, as a footnote, that means that Joe Biden committed multiple felonies. But that for another day. I touched on it the other week. Multiple felonies, according to the precedent
in that fabulous Star Chamber in Manhattan, while all the grifter ambulance chasing lawyers, the slip and fall lawyers, former federal prosecutors, I suppose, at CNN and MSNBC are applauding little Weissman as a man love for the judge. Well, that's the precedent that stands now, and that precedent is that when Joe Biden leaves office, he could be subjected to multiple felonies. There it is on TV. He interfered with the election. Well, let's talk about character, and I'm talking to you, so I'm glad you're here. Joe Biden is a psychopath liar. Liar. Biden says he was arrested during the civil rights era. This is in May. President Joe Biden has a track record of spinning tall tales about his past, including some of the PolitiFact has rated false or pants on fire. In April 26 interview on the Howard Stern show, Biden told the talk radio star he got arrested decades ago while protesting in defense of civil rights. In January 2022, while speaking at an Atlanta campus shared by two historically black colleges, Biden invoked civil rights battles and said, "It seems like yesterday, the first time I got arrested." When we asked the White House in 2022 to clarify what arrest he was referring to, Biden team pointed us to excerpts from 3 speeches Biden had given involving the 1950s incidents in Delaware, in which people gathered to protest to sell the home to a black couple. Police were called to the home as hundreds of people protested outside. There were a few arrests, but there is no record of Biden being arrested. We rate this as false. The first African Methodist Episcopal Church in North Las Vegas. On February 16, 2020, Biden again used the word arrested. The Washington Post fact checker found that Biden said his mother said, "Joey, remember when they desegregated the neighborhood from Linfield? You were 13. I told you not to go there. People were protesting. You got arrested."
I think the loss will be there. There's some interference.
It's a false statement. False statement. Biden made that statement. He was traveling. Was forced down in Afghanistan near the lair, he said. According to the Washington.
Hi, Mr. Good Mod, a good boy.
Instead, it was waiting to have a cancel. Number 6, exaggerated a house fire. Joe Biden falsely claimed the 2004 fire at his Delaware home almost killed Joe Biden. Number 7, took part in civil rights marches. He never took part in civil rights marches. Number 8, he's coming from a family of coal miners. Joe Biden plagiarized British politician Neil Finn's words during his 1987 presidential bid, which brings me to that point. Joe Biden isn't lying now just because he's mentally ill, just because of his mental condition today. He's been lying his entire life. So often, so many ways, I can't even keep track of what I just begun. Take a look at this video.
President Biden admitted today that he committed plagiarism when he was in law school. He said it was a mistake, but that was unintentional.
5 pages of someone else's work without compensation. I've done some dumb things. I'll do dumb things again. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been dumb. To the critical community in Washington, it all seems abuse. Plagiarism at law school, plagiarism on the stop. The great communicator, sweet that. The great imitator. You don't steal good from other people. What you do is you do it 99% of the time. Biden's critics say he sells himself as a man whose words and visions can inspire a new generation in politics. But if the thoughts, phrases, and visions leave on others, it's a form of false advertising. So the real Biden may have more study to do. The weakness stem from the tight remarks of Biden during April campaign appearance in New Hampshire. Well, I went to law school on a full academic scholarship, the only one in my class. Academic scholarship. Went back to law school, and in fact ended up in the top half of my class. I was
the outstanding student in the political science department in the graduating with 3 degrees from undergraduate school, 165 credits, only 123 credits.
Now, he did not graduate with a top math in his law school class, that he does not have 3 degrees from college, and that he was not named outstanding political science student in college.
Usually, says Biden actually went to school on a half scholarship, ended up near the bottom of his class, and won only 1 degree, not 3. Joe Biden ranked 76th in a class of 85 at the University of Syracuse Law School. I mean, this guy comes off the pulpit as a flyweight. Now, Biden says he was right.
Used phrases identical to those delivered by British Labour Party leader Neil Kinnock.
Biden seems to be claiming Kinnock's vision and right as his own. Why is my wife sitting out there in the audience? It's the first of her family to ever go to college. In her story, probably generation, my ancestors who worked in the coal mines in Northeast Pennsylvania and come up after 12 hours and play football. It's because they didn't have a platform upon which to stand. It goes on and on. Something Joe Biden has lacked his entire life, as a matter of fact. But let's go on. Biden repeated a version of a family anecdote he told in April. He said Tuesday, this is 2023, his grandfather, who had worked as an oil company executive, died just days before he was born, himself in the same hospital. Biden's claim is false in 2 ways. His conservative media outlets pointed out in April when Biden said his grandfather died in the same hospital I was born in 2 weeks before I was born. His paternal grandfather, who had worked in the oil industry, Joseph Harry Biden, died in a hospital in Baltimore, Maryland in September 1941. The president was born more than a year later in November 1942 in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Biden's maternal grandfather, Ambrose Joseph Finnegan, did die in the Scranton Hospital where the president was born, but in 1957, when Joe was 14 years old. Biden had a Pittsburgh bridge collapse, touting his administration's investments in infrastructure projects around the country. Biden collapse in Pittsburgh. He claimed that he personally saw the bridge collapse. That's another lie. It's not true. Biden got there and saw a collapse, quote unquote. The collapse occurred before 7 a.m. on January 28, 2022, more than 6 hours prior to Biden landing in the Pittsburgh area for a scheduled visit that included a speech about the economy and infrastructure. He visited the site of collapse after 1 p.m. that day. What else? Biden, the national debt. Biden claims that unlike the last president of my first 2 years in office, even with all we've done, I'm the first one to cut the federal debt by $1 trillion. As CNN has repeatedly noted, it's highly questionable how much credit Biden deserves for the $1.7 trillion decline in the deficit, since the decline happened overwhelmingly because emergency pandemic spending from the end of the Trump administration expired as planned. In fact, independent analysis say Biden's own new laws and executive actions have significantly added to current and projected future deficits, not reduced those deficits. Well, I'm not done.
Oh, we're saving this one. This is important.
23, number 1. Biden's claimed he never discussed Hunter's businesses with Hunter. While we have numerous occasions as a matter of proof, when in fact we did. Biden lies about passing the student loan legislation. There was no student loan legislation, which is why the Supreme Court of the United States ruled it unconstitutional. So he's defying the court. Biden falsely claims his son Bo died in Iraq. Unfortunately, his son died tragically of brain cancer. Biden claims
one more smoke.
Trying to see Nelson Mandela. He was never arrested trying to see Nelson Mandela. Biden's debunked Amtrak tale. Goes on and on about his friend at Amtrak and so forth and so on. It's all part of his imagination. The man had died before. It absolutely never happened. Biden claims price of gas is down from over $5 when I took office. That was a lie. Biden claims he was raised by Puerto Ricans. President Biden told an audience in Puerto Rico that I was sort of raised in the Puerto Rican community at home politically, despite the fact there's only about 2,000 people of Puerto Rican ancestry who lived in Delaware when he was launching his career in any event. It's a flat-out lie. There's more. President Biden claimed last month that the Naval Academy's graduation ceremony that he was appointed to the military school in 1960.
Yeah, let's save this one.
But a search of Bob's archives shows any evidence to back the claim. Curators of the Delaware Historical Association.
We'll check you guys next time, alright? Peace out.
Bob's Academy nominations for just 1 year in the early 1960s. They couldn't locate records for either 1965 or the more plausible year, 1961. That means barring evidence from an unlikely third party, that it's probable only Biden, who often shares incorrect or exaggerated memories, can prove his claim.